What is up, everyone? Moving back again with another video, and today is going to be another end of month vlog. Sorry for the lack of content this month, guys. Life just gets in the way sometimes, and I've been doing quite a bit of content on my horror channel, but I do plan on doing more videos here. There will be a Blu-ray and 4K update coming this month at some point, but also I do have a video planned on how I collect, why I collect, tips for collecting, just talking about my collecting habits basically and how they've changed over the years. So basically I'll just be talking about that big collection behind me there. Also, I'll try and get a few more videos out. So sorry for the lack of content there, but I do these every month anyway. You know, I was always going to do this one. I love doing these videos and just talking to you about what I've watched in the past month, which would be November 2024. I must admit, guys, there's not as much stuff watched here as I usually watch, mainly because I've just been trying to finish Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on the PS5. I feel like I've been on that game forever, and I just totally committed to finishing that game, and I still haven't done it. You know, I've still got quite a bit to go, so I'll still be delving into that in December as well. But I imagine I'll be watching a lot more in December over Christmas and stuff. But I've still got about 15, 16 titles here to talk about, so it's not too bad. I haven't done too bad there. So let's just get into it now with the first thing that I watched. So the first thing that I watched was a Stephen King film, and it was a first time watch for me. And I was going on the Twisted Locker channel to talk about Stephen King movies, and we all done our top 10 movies. And in the end, there was about 25 movies to talk about because we had a little bit of a difference of opinion on what would be on our list. And we decided to talk about every movie that we liked between the three of us. Now, I'll leave the link to that video down below. Twisted Locker's channel. Definitely go and check them out, guys. Brilliant, brilliant channel. I always watch them. It was so good to be on that stream, and they have been on my horror channel and stuff. So definitely go and check them out. Curtis and Jenks, two great YouTubers in the horror community there. But what I watched was Cujo. I think it was Curtis who may have put it on his list. And this was a first time watch for me personally, and I've always wanted to see this movie. And I thought now is the perfect time, of course, because I wanted to give my thoughts on it and stuff. And I thought this was pretty good. A very simple film about a dog that has become rabid and starts to become a menace in the town, basically. And the film starts off as a little bit of a family drama movie. There's a lot of backstory and stuff going on within this family. And when the father goes away halfway through the film, the mother and her child end up going up to this house to, I can't remember why they go there, but they see that they're kind of isolated out there, and this dog will not let them move, basically, and they can't get away, and they're just trapped there. So half the movie is, you know, the build up and stuff, and the second half of the movie is this total isolated incident, and you just don't know how they're ever going to get out of it. Man, Cujo is a real pain in the ass. He's like one of the most dangerous animals you'll ever see in a horror movie. He really reminded me of that pain in the ass in The People Under the Stairs. Prince, the Rottweiler, you know, just will not leave characters alone when they're trying to escape and stuff. But yeah, pretty good Stephen King film. Dee Wallace was great in this movie. She's always great. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm planning on picking this up on 4K at some point. So pretty good movie, and one of the better Stephen King entries that I've seen out of the 30 or 40 odd movies that I've seen from him now. So that is Cujo. Next up, we have a new horror release that came to Shudder, and that is Mads. Now, I was interested in this movie because it was all in a one-shot sequence, and I learned later on that they did divide these shots up, and they're kind of cheating with the editing and stuff. But I heard they only done it 3 times. Now, that is very understandable because this movie takes place in 3 different segments. It will be from one character's point of view, then a different character's point of view, and then, of course, a different character's point of view. It's all about this kind of virus that's getting out. Basically, the movie starts off with this guy who's just high on drugs, and this woman gets into his car as he's driving, and she's all bandaged up and stuff, and it just starts going freaky from there, basically. And then we take the perspective of his girlfriend for the middle segment, and then her friend for the 3rd segment. And I've got to say, the middle segment was absolutely brilliant. My favourite part of the entire film, the actress who plays this female protagonist was unbelievable. One of the best performances I've seen all year. I love one-shot sequences. They've never got boring for me. I'm not tired of them. I think they are so well done and very brave of the director to go down these paths in these movies. So yeah, full credit to the director there. It's a movie that you should absolutely see if you love horror. Maybe one I'm not going to rewatch too much, but I appreciate what it was going for. And there's some real what the fuck moments here. Yeah, pretty good movie, I think. So that is Mads. Next up, we have a rewatch of The Running Man. Now, I gave Curtis and Jenks my top 10 Stephen King movies. I know this was Richard Bateman who wrote this movie, which is still Stephen King, but under a different alias. And The Running Man was in my top 10. And I was just going through a few Stephen King movies. I watched a couple in October. This was really at the start of the month, this video. But I wanted to refresh myself with The Running Man. And I knew there was a remake coming and stuff. And I was just thinking, I wonder what they can do here. So I'm just going to watch the remake, The Running Man, because I enjoy it a lot anyway. But yeah, fantastic film. Really good concept about this TV show where it gives these prisoners who are locked up for a while a chance for freedom, but they've got to take part in the Running Man show. And basically they go up against 4 bosses, if you like. It's almost like a video game. And these bosses are all like unique designs and stuff. One of them's called Sub-Zero. It's really reminded me of Mortal Kombat. I love when Schwarzenegger takes him out and goes, Sub-Zero, but now Plane Zero. The king of one-liners, Arnie. But yeah, Killian, who runs this TV show, he's like this big celebrity. He's a real asshole, like one of the my most hated villains in movie history, I think. You really want Arnie to get one over on him. But it's a really, really good film. Really enjoyable. It's almost a parody of socialism, is it? Like, of humans in general, because everyone's just watching this show and people are getting murdered and stuff, and everyone's just cheering in the crowd, you know, oblivious to the fact that this is a wrong thing to do. But yeah, highly enjoyable movie. The Running Man is awesome, and I do think this may benefit from a remake. As good as this is, I think this could be done really well in future, so looking forward to that. So that is The Running Man. Next up, we have Heretic, a movie that I'd heard a lot of praise about, and I thought it was okay. This stars Hugh Grant in a horror role, basically, not something we see too much of him at all. And I was very interested to see his take on what he can do on the genre and this role that he was in, basically being this little weirdo in this house. So this is basically about 2 Catholic door knockers who want you to join the religion and stuff. And they knock at Hugh Grant's house, but he has actually arranged for them to come and learn about the religion and stuff. But not as all what it seems with Hugh Grant, and these characters sort of can't get out the house, and a lot of dialogue happens between the 2 characters, but it's very, very tense dialogue. There is a balance between an argument for religion, against religion. I think the movie does very well to balance that and not shove one of them too much in your face. And then things start to go around a very, very dark path, and you do fear for these 2 girls, these characters. I think Sophie Thatcher done a great job here as one of the roles of these girls. But Hugh Grant at the real start of this movie, kind of always guessing where it's going. You want to know what the outcomes is sort of going to be, who's basically more right in the arguments and stuff like that. It's a very interesting movie. I didn't love it though. I thought it was fine. I give it 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd. Just one that I'm not going to return to too much, but I'm glad I seen it, basically. The main draw here is Hugh Grant. I think he's a wonderful actor, and I loved how he was in this movie. Just such a powerhouse performance. One of the best, again, horror movie performances of the year for me. So that is Heretic. Next up we have Trick or Treat, another first time watch for me. I'd heard so many great things about this movie, and when Arrow decided to release it, I thought, you know what, I'm going to take a little bit of a blind buy here. Not something I do too much often these days, but I'd heard so many people say this is a great movie, so I trust the opinions of those people. And it was Halloween was coming up, and I really wanted to watch it on Halloween, which I did, but I fell asleep after about 30 minutes, not because the movie was bad, just because my kids were out trick-or-treating. We had all the family down, and I started watching it about 9:30 at night, and I was knackered. So I watched it again a few days later because I really liked what I saw and I wanted to see the outcome of the movie. But I did start it again from the start. And this is a really good anthology film that takes place on Halloween, of course. I love how all the stories kind of intertwine with each other to make it feel like a fully fledged movie, but they are done in segments, but they're very carefully woven in, I think. I really loved the story about the school bus. I thought that was really interesting, that one. But there's lots of great stuff in here. I love the guy who's burying people in his backyard and stuff as well. You know, really quirky characters in here and stuff. Love this Sam character, really great design on him. But it throws stuff on early at you, and then you see the outcome later on of where all that was going. It's just very nicely woven. So yeah, one of the best anthology horror movies I've seen. Can't believe it took me this long to get to it now. But you know, it's the first time for everything, isn't it? Now I've got to admit, the transfer from Arrow here is unbelievable. Like, I haven't got much to compare it to, but the way the colours of all the oranges and stuff of Halloween and the yellows bounce against the dark backdrop of the nighttime, man, it's such a good transfer. It really is great looking on 4K, this movie. So highly recommend it if you're a fan or you're interested. I had a great time with it. So that is Trick or Treat, or Trick or Treat, should I say. Next up is going to be my new release of the month, and that is a documentary, believe it or not. This came to Shudder, and that was Doc of Chucky. First I heard about it was when Shudder said, oh yeah, this is what's coming out in November, and I thought, that is going near the top of my watch list. It's a 4-hour and 55-minute documentary about the Chucky movies. Now, if you've seen Crystal Lake Memories, which I am yet to get to, but I know it's in the same format, or Never Sleep Again, The Elm Street Legacy, which I have seen, and it goes through all the movies, but it spends a lot of time on how they made the movie, the characters, the crew, all talking about the making of the movie, and they spend a good half an hour to 45 minutes on each film, apart from the first movie, which is about an hour and a half, and just how they made it, you know, what it was like on set, how they done the animatronics of these Chucky characters and stuff. I was just amazed. It absolutely flew by. I did watch it over a few nights, but I probably could have watched it in one night if I wanted. I was glued to the screen. As a big Chucky fan, this was Chucky heaven for me. I highly recommend it, guys. I reviewed it on my horror channel. I'll leave the link down below if you want to go and check that out. But I did give it a very, very high score. I loved it. It was fantastic. Everything I wanted. I really love these horror docs now. I'm really looking forward to getting to the Crystal Lake one. I'm just rewatching the franchise at the minute to review them all on the horror channel. But once I rewatch the whole franchise again, I'm going to get to that one. I'm really looking forward to that because I just love these documentaries. There's so many good ones out at the minute. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. That is Doc of Chucky. Next up, we have a TV show, The Penguin. Yeah, I've been watching this through September to October, and it finally finished in November. 8-episode series, and this is a spin-off show, sort of sequel to the Batman that we got in 2022, starring Colin Farrell, who is unrecognizable. You wouldn't know it was him if you didn't know that going in. And this is more of a mafia mob story, where Colin Farrell basically wants to become the top mafia boss in Gotham, and he will do anything, use anyone by any means possible to get to the top, because he's sick of people telling him what to do, bossing him around, and he sees it as his time now. Now, I must admit, there was a little bit of a wait for this show to get going. It wasn't until like the 4th episode where I really got into it. But that's when things from the first 3 episodes started to click together, and the show became really great. And by the end of it, I was like, wow, I watched something really good there. It's not a cash grab type show. It's not a nothing show. This is a really well-written program that is kind of genius, I think. Some absolute what the fuck moments in it. I couldn't believe what I was seeing at times, especially in that finale. And it has really set this show up now for the Penguin as a character to be a lethal force in these Batman movies. And he's not really a character I've always loved or anything. I thought Danny DeVito done a great job in Batman Returns, but man, he's awesome. It's a villain that you can finally hate the guts of. There's no look, you just need to watch it. I mean, I don't feel sorry for the guy who put it that way. There's no sympathy vote here of why this character is like this, but the show will reveal it all. Definitely give this a go if you like the Batman from 2022. That is the Penguin. Next up, guys, is going to be another Shudder release, and that is Black Cab. I was quite looking forward to this one, a movie about a demented cab driver, all made in Britain. Nick Frost starring as this demented cabbie who's just going to be so sinister and stuff and lock these people in his cab. And it kind of was like that for about 15 minutes, and then the movie just went straight downhill. The movie does way too much for its own good. It tries to be way over too ambitious. I really was not a fan of this movie. It became one of my worst movies of the year. I stopped caring about the characters after that initial 15 minutes. Nick Frost couldn't save it. I don't think this role was very good for him, to be honest. And I just didn't like what it was trying to do at the end. So this could have been so much more. I haven't seen a movie about a sinister cab driver, maybe ever. I mean, not to my knowledge anyway. I mean, Taxi Driver is a totally sort of different thing, isn't it? I mean, in the horror genre. And that just feels like a lost opportunity. There's something there to do with a character like that, though. If they just stuck to that side of things, I thought this could have been way better. But yeah, we go down all different supernatural routes and stuff, and it just doesn't work. So avoid, guys. It's not very good. That is Black Cab. Next up, we have Ridley Scott's Gladiator 2. Now, I'm not a massive fan of Gladiator or anything. I thought it was fine when I watched it back in the day. I haven't seen it for years. I was planning on rewatching it before going into this one. I just didn't find the time. And when I did watch it with my wife, we got about 45 minutes in and we were both asleep on the couch. These kids, man, they just make you so tired. It's hard work being a father. But yeah, and that was the night before we were going to see part 2. But I remembered enough about the first movie to know what was going on here. And I gotta say, I thought this movie was average. Like, look, it was good. It done a lot of things right. The battle scenes were great. The action was awesome. It moved a nice pace, I think, even though it's a very long movie. And it was entertaining. But it is a rehash of the first film. And the villains of the movie, which are built up to be these sinister people, were more like cartoon characters. They were very animated. No one really stood out in the character department. Paul Mescal, who I've seen in Aftersun, he's a good actor. I just don't think he brought much to this role. He was just like a very standard action hero, really. Denzel Washington, a lot of people are praising his performance. Didn't really do it for me. He was probably the best character in the movie, but not one that I really thought was that great. Yeah, some bad CGI moments as well, unfortunately. I give it 3.5 on Letterboxd. 7 out of 10. That's exactly what it is. So yeah, not the big grand epic a lot of Gladiator fans were probably hoping for, but it is a lot of fun. Just a little bit forgettable. Can't see myself return to this quite often in the future, to be honest. So that is Gladiator 2. Next up is Being John Malkovich. Sorry if you can see glaze on these Blu-rays, guys. I am trying to avoid it. And sorry if you heard any screaming before. My little lad downstairs is just going off his head for some reason. So sorry if that does interfere with the video. But I think he might have stopped now. Anyway, Being John Malkovich is a movie that my friend Kyle has told me to watch on numerous occasions. He goes, look, mate, you really need to watch it. It's like nothing you've ever seen before. And my God, he was right. But I did really enjoy this movie, but it's so strange. This is basically about John Cusack, who finds a job in an office building. It's weird. The floor that he works on is like the ceilings are too low, so they all have to walk around bending over and stuff. And they find this portal where you can go through it and you end up in John Malkovich's head for 15 minutes. So you can see everything he sees. And then you come out of his head and you are dropped in the middle of the road on the outskirts of the city. And John Malkovich and his new office partner exploit this and charge people to go into John Malkovich's head for 15 minutes, and everyone's queued up to have a go at this portal. Well, as I'm saying these words and summarising this movie, I can't actually believe what I'm saying. but it just somehow works. Now, I think there's a lot of commentary in this movie, but I didn't quite get it. I'd probably have to watch it again to see what it was fully trying to say. But it was a fun time, but a very weird time. And John Malkovich, great as always. Cameron Diaz in this as well. Quite a different role for her. But I thought she was great. This movie is batshit insane, but it works. So yeah, I definitely recommend this one, guys. If you've ever thought about watching it, such a crazy movie. So that is being John Malkovich. Next up is another TV show, and that is Cobra Kai Season 2. No, sorry. Cobra Kai Season 6, Segment 2. So yes, Netflix are releasing these episodes 5 at a time in 3 different segments, and we do have the middle segment now. Now, I was looking forward to this. I always look forward to Cobra Kai, but the first segment wasn't really doing it for me. However, we go to the Sekai Tekai tournament here in the second segment, and it was so much better. Like, Cobra Kai was back in this segment here. I absolutely love this. Some great fight choreography, some twists and turns along the way like Cobra Kai does. And we have, like, this new gym that comes out of nowhere, basically, who are, like, the toughest characters by a mile. So another task there for, you know, Daniel LaRusso and his dojo to get past and stuff. Just threw a lot of new stuff at you. There is a lot of character arcs going on here, and it does accumulate all in the last episode where it's like, okay, we're just going to do this, we're going to do this, get rid of all these character arcs very, very quickly. And I don't know, I would have liked to see some of them maybe transfer over to season 3, but I can't fully judge the show because it hasn't finished yet. We're only 10 episodes in out of 15. But it was such a step up. I really enjoyed it. I watched it all within about 2 days. You can just binge this show so easily. It's the most fun and entertaining show I think I've ever watched. Probably not the best, but it is in my top 10, I'd say. But definitely the most entertaining. I can't get enough of it. I absolutely love it. Love the characters. Love everything about it. I love how cheesy it is. It's fantastic. Cobra Kai is awesome. That is Cobra Kai Season 6, Segment 2. Next up is Cuckoo, a movie I have really wanted to watch for a while. And it's just one that I've missed this year because the cinema listings were very, very late at my local cinema. They were like 20 to 10 at night. And man, could I stay awake for that? Who knows? But I was really looking forward to this. I thought it had an awesome trailer and stuff. And it sees Hunter Schafer and her family move to this town, and weird shit starts to happen with Dan Stevens' character and stuff. And she's kind of the only one who kind of knows that something strange is going on. She's trying to tell her parents, but they're not really interested. And shit starts to go down a little bit. But I did find this movie very, very confusing, I must say. I was scratching my head at times, especially at the end. I had to look up what was going on. And it was a little bit of a disappointment, guys. I'm not going to lie. It just really didn't give me what I thought I was going to get, going by the trailers and stuff. And a lot of people who bigged this movie up. Hunter Schafer was really good in the film, but it's just a very uninteresting film. The more it goes on, starts off pretty good, and then as if it kind of fizzles out, basically. So yeah, I'm not really a fan, unfortunately. That is Cuckoo. Next up, we have Friday the 13th, the final chapter. I've actually watched this movie 3 times this year, because when I rewatched the Friday the 13th franchise, I hadn't seen it for so long, and I was kind of underwhelmed. I was like, isn't this everyone's favourite one? So I rewatched it instantly the next day, and I was still like, okay, that improved a little bit, but I'm still not quite sure. However, on this rewatch, it did improve again, and I can sort of see why people like this one the most, even though it does have some problems for me. I enjoyed it a hell of a lot more on this 3rd time watch. Jason is awesome in this movie. You know, really looks pissed off in this film. He's breaking down doors, smashing windows left, right, and centre. Lots of great kills in there. You know, some really good carnage by Tom Savini with the practical effects and stuff. It's basically just what these Friday the 13th movies do, a killer going around the camp, but in this case it's more of a house, which there's so much bad weather in this movie that kind of feels like an isolated incident for these characters where they're stuck in this house and can't escape. Crispin Glover, though, he is the worst character so far in this franchise, man. The guy is just so cringeworthy in this movie. The dance he does, the fact that he's getting called a dead fuck by his best friend, and then he's asking everyone, "Am I a dead fuck?" It's just, oh man, he's terrible. But a really enjoyable Friday the 13th film. Kind of the start of the Tommy Jarvis trilogy here, which I don't really love Corey Feldman in this movie, and being honest, he's okay, but doesn't really do nothing until the last 5 or 10 minutes, and even that is a rehash of the second movie. But overall, it's a fine film. It's an enjoyable 90 minutes, like all these movies are. You can just watch them and have so much fun. You're in and out, and you're ready for the next one. So that is Friday the 13th, the final chapter. I've got a full review for this, guys, over on my horror channel, if you want to go and check that out. Next up, we do have Stop Motion, another horror movie that I just missed this year, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to catch up on these horror watches. So I done it with Cuckoo, and then I done it with this. And unfortunately, this was a little bit of a letdown as well. I probably enjoyed it a little bit more than Cuckoo. It started off very well. It's about this woman who's doing a stop motion picture with her mother, and her mother is very demanding and always telling her off, and you know, you got to get this picture right before I die. You know, that's all I ask of you. And then this young lady decides to just make her own stop motion picture anyway, with the help of this young girl who wants to help her, but again is very demanding of having her hair way. The stop motion segments were great. You know, I love watching all these little mini clips and stuff like that. It does do well to incorporate stop motion into the stop motion story of this stop motion artist. But again, as it went on, kind of like Cuckoo, it kind of just fizzled out a little bit. I didn't quite care what was going on or care about any of the characters, even the main protagonist. So unfortunately, again, a movie that has ambition but didn't quite land it for me personally. So that is Stop Motion. Next up is going to be my older release of the month, Super, a movie by James Gunn. Oh my god, this movie was fucking so much fun. I had a blast with this. I missed it back in the day. I don't know if it was because I thought, oh, that's just trying to be like Kick-Ass and do the same thing. I can't remember if this came out before Kick-Ass or not. But, oh my god, what a fucking fun time this was. Now, this is Rainn Wilson, who I believe is the star of The US Office. I've never watched The US Office. I watched one episode years ago. And his wife leaves him, played by, what's her name? She's off The Strangers. I don't want to look at the cover because I know her name. I'm going to have to look at the cover. Liv Tyler. I can't stand her as an actress, I'm not going to lie. But anyway, she is sort of taken by this drug lord, and he's using her as his new girlfriend, basically, and takes her from Rainn Wilson's character. And he has had enough of that, and he decides to become this superhero, even though he's got no superpowers, and sort of get her back from these drug lords, with the help of Ellen Page's character, who was absolutely hilarious in this movie. Oh my god, I couldn't stop laughing. It's a great little team that they've got going on here, and what I like about it is James Gunn does not hold back on the violence. You can see the 18 rating there. He's got this wrench as like his weapon, and he's just busting people up with this wrench and stuff. It's so much fun, honestly. I really found this movie to be hilarious, absolutely fly by. It is one of the best sort of fake superhero movies I've ever seen. I highly recommend you watch this, especially if you love movies like Kick-Ass and stuff. It is such a joy. So definitely check it out. Kevin Bacon as the villain was fun, and you just want to see Rainn Wilson kick his ass, basically. So yeah, definitely check out Super, my older release of the month. Next up, we have The Wild Robot. I've heard a lot of great things about this movie, and this is basically about this robot that is sent to the wild, but it kind of is there to save somebody. And it kind of got there by accident, and it doesn't quite know what to do. So it decides to sort of save these animals, basically, who are living in the wild. Or this one animal, should I say, this chick that's just been born out of an egg straight away. And he goes, right, his mission in life, her mission, this robot's mission is to look after this chick no matter what. And he sort of changes the view on all the animals about each other and stuff like that. It's a very heartwarming film, but it's just fun to see this robot live in the wild amongst these animals, and it doesn't quite know what to do with itself, so it finds its own mission in looking after this baby chick. Yeah, quite emotional at times. Great animation, absolutely stellar. DreamWorks done a fantastic job of making this movie look this good, and it's just a movie that you really do get attached to. I thought it was great. So yeah, definitely check out The Wild Robots, especially if you like animated films. But even if you don't like animated films, there's definitely something for you here, I feel. That is The Wild Robot. And last up, guys, we do have Moana. Now, this is a movie I watched with my wife and her mother a few years ago now, and I fell asleep at the very start of the movie. I'd had a few drinks and stuff, and Moana 2 is obviously out now, so I wanted to rewatch this with my wife. And you know what? I don't love this movie. I think it's okay. It's an average Disney movie for me. I don't really like the setting all that much, like out in the ocean and stuff. I don't know. There's just something about it that just doesn't quite work for me. But it's got great characters in there. Moana is a great character to get behind. I like the guy The Rock plays. Great voice animation. The movie looks absolutely stellar, of course. And the demented chicken man is so funny. So yeah, it's a fine movie. I just don't love it as much as a lot of other Disney Pixar movies. And I have heard that the second one isn't as good as this. So I'm kind of not out in a rush to watch it now. I think my wife still wants to go and see it, but if not, we will probably catch it on Disney Plus when it comes, probably early next year. Or maybe over Christmas, who knows? But it's okay. I like I said, I don't love it, guys, but there's a lot of things to like about it. That is Moana. Okay, guys, hope you all enjoyed this video. What do you think of these watches? Please do let me know in the comments down below. I'll try and get back to you all, I promise. Just leave your comments about what you thought about these movies, basically, and these TV shows, of course. Thanks so much, guys. Take it all easy, and I'll see you all in the next video.